All right. Okay. Yep, I see you. There's me. Close my tabs here.
Audio's good.
All right. Welcome to Beyond Revelations with a powerful guest, Saul Castillo. I will give him let him introduce himself after this. He shared for the first time, I believe it was my last Beyond Clarity last week. And I shared something personal. It was actually about overcoming my bad drinking habits, and come to find out, you don't mind me sharing, Saul, you related to that. Before we begin, I have to remember to say that this is for entertainment purposes only. Don't take anything that we say serious. Since this is going to be live streamed to the world, normally I say whatever is said here stays here. Um, do not break the laws of the land you live in. Normally, it's for men only 18 plus, but since this is for the world to see, we're going to share things we normally wouldn't share. And the reason why is because when there's kids and women around, sometimes the guys can't say things they normally would say, and energies and everything. The feeling is of nervousness is there. I'm sure Saul can agree, but I'm putting that feeling off to the side. And it's funny because I get that feeling every time before I begin. And seeing AZD clear himself, get himself ready before every class. That's what I'm doing right now. I've got my feet in the grass, tapping into a tree. I got my Bible out because I asked Saul what he would like our title to be. And I'm going to ask him why he chose this. But I got my Bible. I've been going through some dark times. I'm actually overcoming some dark times. The last couple months, really bad, like so deep and dark. And I somehow manifested a couple lines of credit, and I was able to go out to San Jose. I invested a lot of money to go out there, and I'm paying for it, but I feel like I'm bouncing back even further. And one thing that I did, this is actually a Bible from my eighth grade catechism, I guess you would call it, where I would pretty much be able to take communion at my church. And what do you know? I still have it, and everything happens for a reason. So before I have Saul introduce himself, I'm going to read the introduction of Revelation here. So I'm going to double check here the Telegram group just to make sure if anyone's trying to hop on. Make sure the link is good. I got my tea here. One thing I always make sure, because I'm not used to talking, my mouth gets dry. So for all you future podcast YouTubers out there, all right, Revelation introduction. The book of Revelation was written by the Apostle Paul, I'm sorry, the Apostle John during his exile in the island of Patmos. John's purpose in writing this book was to give hope and encouragement to the Christians who were suffering severe persecution for their faith in Jesus Christ. These Christians needed to know that God controls whatever happens here on earth. Through the imagery and symbols, even though they are sometimes difficult to understand, one thing is made clear: Jesus Christ is the Lord and ruler over everyone and everything, even powerful human governments. Ooh. He is clearly in control and will someday judge and punish what is evil, even Satan. He will also establish an everlasting kingdom with a new heaven and a new earth. Man, with what's going on right now, this is a good chapter to read. So, first of all, Saul, why Revelations?
Uh, First, thank you for having me here, Tony. It was something that I've been wanting to do for a while. Just get on a podcast and start speaking. So, the topic Revelations came to me actually when I registered on Midday Gospel, and this has all related to AZD, IMC Nation. The philosophies of IMC Nation, and the word Revelations, or just the book of Revelations, is always, since a child, when I was introduced early on to Christianity, um, those two, Genesis and Revelation, were my two favorite books of the Bible, and I read through the whole Bible, but this one specifically, it's just resonating a lot with my experiences since last month, when I registered with on the Midday Gospel. So now, I just, recalling all of these experiences of life and where it's brought me, this journey, and what's been revealed to me through, just since I got back on my process. Granted, there's a new version updated of it, the Origins, which I do plan on getting back on, because the first Beast Camp I did was in 2021. So, as the information or the knowledge evolves, I'm getting back to it and dedicating myself to my evolution. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's what comes to mind right now.
Dude, 100%. I'm getting chills right now. Uh,
For sure.
that was a great answer. God, I forgot what I was gonna ask you now. Um,
Yeah, I
it'll
just
it'll
didn't
come to
want to.
me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't want to make it all about, the just the Bible itself. Just the word itself has a certain vibe, or a vibe or energy to it that resonates deep somewhere, where I always felt I was destined for something, or to be part of something greater than myself. And whether it be the word of God, or a movement, that it all, it's another piece of the puzzle to me. And I feel that, that there's no accident that, we resonated uh last week when you were sitting under the tree. I mean, I just got that vibe that, you're tapped in, and I was tapped in. I was very tapped in. I throughout the days, the energy, it fluctuates, uh as far as, how the experiences of life go. And right now, I've just focused on staying tapped in and in tune, as organic as possible in my living and state of mind. And so this is just, it's a perfect timing.
Hell yeah. So was Origins back in 2001 the Beast Camp you're talking about?
um
Or was it a Beast
June
Camp in 2001?
June 2021. It
June
was
2021.
phase one Beast Camp.
Phase one. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
that's where I officially, just shared a little bit of my story. But I need to, I feel like there's a lot more to learn from everyone else. And yeah, that's why I'm here, man.
Oh, so true. So
Seth,
you shared this last week, but since you're the special guest, if you don't mind sharing here, and this is for the whole world to see. And one thing that I say, and this goes to everyone, someone out there needs to hear your story from you. So
that's right.
stop holding yourself back and keep showing up. How, like, what were you going through? How'd you come across AZD, and what made you join
It's a great
when you
question.
first got introduced?
Well, I was uh, I was having a hard time, just, becoming coming into my own, as far as like the beingness that I wanted to have. And it was like the character development that I know about now. My awareness of that is there's a more sense of purpose. But before, this was in 2017, 2018. I would just watch YouTube videos all the time, like, of successful people, Grant Cardone, Dan Pena. And I always thought I wanted to make a lot of money, and just thinking that, what the job I was working at then, I was a janitor for elementary school, and it was hard work because there was two campuses, and I was just working all day. So I came across I don't know by how I was listening to podcasts as well. So Brian Castillo was on there. Shout out BC, OG, IMC Nation. You know, high profile character there, and I was listening to his. I tuned into his podcast, and um, this must have been one of his older episodes because it was the first feature, or one of the features was Arash Dibazar, and I heard his voice, and something in the quality of his voice was more powerful than any YouTube person that I watched, and any just any self-help and all that, anything related to that. It seemed like no, like they didn't know what they were talking about, in a sense. You know, I mean, I don't know if that makes sense to you, because they're very successful people, the people that the names I mentioned, but BC as well. Like they were very solid. He's a very solid individual, so his voice, carries that. Uh, but yeah, something about AZD. I didn't know what he looked like. I was listening to a few um, podcasts. It was all featured, and then I looked this guy up one day, and I saw. I think it was his very first video actually that came up about you are the most important person in your life, and yeah, I've watched it, and immediately I just knew, this guy, he has something that I want, or at least that quality that I wanted as a being, and it was very powerful. It was like just overnight, I felt like instant power up. It was something that had gone through my system, and I messaged him on Facebook and just told him how it was. I waited around a week, but then I messaged him and told him like all these things that was going on. Like my confidence was like never before, and so I introduced myself to him on Facebook. Then he told me to follow him on Instagram, and it was the beginning of something, but I didn't know what. And now I'm looking back there. I was just like, okay, uh, it was a long journey, but I fell off a few times around it. I didn't know what the movement was. This was before he had he had Diamond Mind, and I got on that, and I fell off, because I didn't think that the knowledge went so deep as to how it structures your life, and I was 19 at the time, so yeah, man. Ever since then, I was just trying to see, how far I could go with this, and it wasn't until recently where I realized, I actually, uh, it's like a purpose behind it, underneath it, and no matter where I go or who I'm around, it always seems that there's there's something higher to connect up to that everybody's missing, and AZD's just been the closest reference to that I've ever experienced. Yeah, that's how I
Damn,
found out.
damn, that's a great story, man, and so true.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I'm
I
sure
could tell
it's
you
common.
how many times I read like things that you shared, falling off track, so relatable, like still, just like some of my darkest days not too long ago, just like maybe like it was like a span of like three to 1 month ago.
Mm.
I was like, I've got myself falling off track again. I'm like, what? No, no. And that's why I say keep showing up, because it is just now I know why AZD says base up, because if I would not
Face
be,
up,
I mean, just being here, and when you're on the AZD process, it can be lonely if you're not around, like around here. I try sharing it with people, and it's I don't people that just think that I come across like too pushy, or I'm arrogant, or I don't know,
yeah,
but it's
totally.
very crucial. I'm just so grateful to have this like Telegram and being able to talk about this. like AZD goes live at least 6 days a week, and he wants us to be part of the 300, men messengers, and what this is just the beginning. So I remember you
For sure.
saying last week about possibly wanting to be like doing what Captain Chris did, and teaching people about yoga, or I'm just kind of curious, like what do you see yourself doing with your success?
In my success, there's a long
Yeah,
ways to
like
go.
you're being disciplined, you're showing up to midday gospel every
I
day. I
actually
mean,
I actually haven't this past week. My subscription expired, but I would have today. I actually had an interview, and it was like something that was, I've been needing to do, follow up with a lot. Just have a job, stable
good,
income.
good.
Yes. Didn't mean to cut you
And
off,
that's
but
no, 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 that's getting the story straight here. And that's one thing AZD says too. It like doesn't matter what you're doing, get a job, get a couple jobs. I
oh yeah.
worked I worked probably a few bullshit jobs the last few years just to make ends meet, focus on what I want to do and be able to invest in myself. And it's been quite a process, but here you are now speaking for the second time, this time as a special guest on Beyond Clarity. And like, what do you want to do? Because I remember you said you were following like Grant Cardone and Dan Pena, and I remember those guys. Holy shit! I would get so overwhelmed trying to get into entrepreneurship, um, because I was not working on myself. I was just so focused on the business and the money where I pretty much let myself go. And then
Mhm.
that's where it was at the end of 2019. I finally joined IMC Nation, and where do you see yourself? Like, what do you want to do with what you learn applying the AZD process and attending beast camps and
Though
yeah,
that
yeah. Go
It's a
ahead.
good
Dan
question.
Pena's a savage.
Oh
Yeah, you're
yeah,
right,
for
Mr.
sure.
Simmons. Go ahead, Saul.
So I didn't have at the time when I was watching their videos a definitive, like a game plan or any kind of long-term thing. All I knew is that I wanted to transcend that condition that I was in, which was, working, all the time for no end really. But now that I see, I have a different perspective. I see work as a means to just build on something, and that was always something I resisted the past couple years, especially when I had a security. I was doing nightclub events and just events that were pretty big in San Diego, but it wasn't really difficult work. Like I always seemed to be able to do 12-hour shifts, no problem. And during that time, it was so lax, I guess, as far as my responsibilities, that it was easy to spend money where I knew it shouldn't have gone. And that's where I had conflict inside, you know. When I knew especially drinking on the job, that was when I knew it got really bad, because I would work around a lot of vendors, and they would offer me drinks, and I would just like buddy with everybody, and it was like I was losing myself in that world of just chaos and no structure, no discipline. And then it got to the point where I was I don't know who I thought I was, but I had like supervisor, like the title. I had, people under me, but even those people that were under me, they were very unethical in their behaviors as well. So once I saw that the whole company was just like, it was like a giant shit show, because nobody really took responsibility in the ways that you would expect to hold, or in service, or your duty to your job. So it was very easy for me to not enforce any discipline on myself. I was only paying like $200 in rent because I lived with my mother. And now I'm back at like square one again. So I mean, that whole uh lifestyle got me to where I am now, and that's just the facts of it. And I'm not not going to dwell on my past anymore. I was playing victim. I was after this was around 2021 too. So I thought I was ready to, take it to the next level. So I signed up for a beast camp, which was the phase 1, and I was like, okay, no bullshit. I was on Lions Den watching the videos every day, and I had a post where or at work where it was very isolated. So I just watched, Lions Den and started beasting, and I was really into it. And then when that was 2020 because COVID was around, and then 21 when things slowly opened up again, the events started opening up and happening, and I thought I was on my process, but it actually I backslid. So that's when things got me down, and I was not in alignment with what I thought was my purpose, and I knew I was doing wrong, and that's the worst part of it, because it's easy to find reasons and excuses for our shortcomings, or our inability to actually go all the way with something, or commitment. And I wasn't a man of my word and my commitments, and so there was no accountability there. And I'm sorry, I kind of got a little distracted, but
No,
was
great
the
story.
question
What
there?
everything, I mean, and I've done that many times, and that's I would have stopped you, but it's everything that you shared had to have been said, because you took us down a road that pretty much I believe everyone goes on. I've done. I'm getting chills right now. So many times where I would just get off track, and I knew like I'm doing stuff I'm not supposed to. I'm not being true to the process. Like
Oh
when
yeah.
the Telegram group first started, this was years. Like when I first joined, there was only one Telegram group, and we'd check in the morning, and this was during like the
Mhm.
lockdown. I'm not going to say certain words because this is YouTube, so I don't want to get dinged, but it starts with a P and rhymes with academic. We would wake up and check in. We pretty much just like type in like I woke up and check in the Telegram group.
Mhm.
So I do that. And since I wasn't working at the time and everything was closed, I'd go back to bed. I'd feel like accomplished, but then I'd wake up and I felt dirty. And I'm going to share my story real quick.
Sure.
AZD, Yoga Bliss Chris, formerly known as now Captain Chris, Raul Cervantes, Kenny Simmons, a couple other guys I felt connected with were posting some things on Instagram about what was going on, like behind the scenes of why things were happening the way they were.
Mhm.
AZD recommended that we'd watch a couple documentaries. One was called Out of Shadows, the other was Fall of Cabal. And it literally made me sick. Like when I found out what was happening behind the scenes, I actually got mad at them. I'm like, this can't be right. I felt resentment, but I'm like, but I respect these guys. I believe in like, why would this group of powerful men come together and share these things? And it's like, oh my God, like this is really what's going on. So I was pretty much like bedridden for a day, feeling sick, sorry for myself. I finally got up the next day and I went for a walk. I was going out in nature. I was listening and learning the positive things. And eventually I'm doing what we're doing now. This is like a few years in the making.
Mhm.
So what were you going through the time when you were like drinking on the job and you like felt kind of guilt of what you were doing, fell off track, you weren't showing up to IMC Nation, the Lions Den, and then Dragon's Lair, and now Midday Gospel. Like what happened? Like what was going on where you're like, this enough is enough. I want to get back into this because I know there's so much better out there for me.
Well, it mostly had to do with my circle or sphere of influence. Um, like I said, like all the supervisors and some of the higher ups, they were also engaged in unethical behaviors, and so um, I at first, sort of distanced myself from them, um, because I was on my process at the time, or starting the process. And then, it's sure slowly but surely you're I don't know, my mind was weak. I was weak in my mind. And that those weaknesses were a lot of had to do with desires that were not right. Like I was lusting after women, especially because we worked a lot of college events. So college girls, they I mean, for some reason I was quite charming to them, I guess, because I would be on stage with the DJs, and that was my post. So it was basically party every weekend. And I was like, oh, I got no problem getting girls now, because part of this, the AZD process, you become more more manly, and so naturally will attract that will attract women. And so I thought I had something down. I thought I was my circle. I didn't need a circle. I thought, what, like, I'll just show up to work, and like life is great. But then the days after and throughout the week, I knew I wasn't being true to the process, and that whole like conflicting internal beliefs, and it just caused me to go, so off. And like you said, the I don't know, it's something about drinking. It's that false confidence you get from it. And I don't see anything wrong with having like a beer, or here and there. But like for me, I had to go full on, at least a quarter pint, and I was bad, man. Like it got me even into cocaine. I know this is, I don't know if this is appropriate to mention, but this is actually what happened. So yeah, I
Hey,
mean,
we're
it would.
talking we're talking past tense, and
Oh
some
yeah.
people have been through similar, a lot worse. And you, I'm getting chills right now. You being brave enough and authentic to share something personal like that, because I know some people, when they drink, they want to do other things, and it
Mhm.
just takes them to a downward spiral of self-destruction. So yeah, you mentioned it. Now continue with the story, brother.
Well, you know that there's the quote. It's when you dance with the devil, something about dancing with the devil. And once the coke got introduced into that mix, it was basically like I was dancing with the devil. He stuck his hand, extended his hand, and I was involved in things like sell. Slowly got to selling, and just doing very unethical things. And I guess the feeling of wanting power from that perspective is the dark power. It's like just that you could have anything as long as you have these drugs, or that feeling that you can. But really, those I saw those people, and then I started seeing like entities in people's faces. And even in my own, at one point, I just remember the turning point was looking in a mirror. And this was after the beast camp I did, and just knowing the shame of having to lie, or cover that up, because I spoke of it as if I was over it, but really it would be here and there. And then so the entities started showing themselves when I was under the influence. And at some point I just knew that the hell I was in was only leading me down, the inevitable, which would be, serving prison, or literally death, because there were people that were overdosing on fentanyl. And that's a big endemic here in California. um, it was crazy, man, because I never questioned it. I never questioned whether I this would be, I mean, memento mori, right? But that was the wrong application of that. I was just like, you know what, we're gonna die one day, and what's it matter if I chose it, and but without consideration for my word, my commitments. And I regretted a lot uh, once I just decided to leave everything. I dropped I stopped showing up to work as well, because that was after that turning point when I just started seeing the evil. And I had a nice chunk saved up. I probably could have done camps uh, with the money that I had saved after I left work. And I'm ashamed to say that I held it. I withheld a lot, like physically, just socially, and I kind of wanted to phase out. I don't know how I wanted to do that, but I wanted to phase out of life in a way where I just wanted to disappear, and that's what happened. That's why I wasn't showing up throughout the beast camps or uh, Dragon's Lair when it started evolving, and yeah, man, it seemed more safe or familiar to just isolate myself and not have the I guess the willpower to carry forward and what I knew was my mission in life, which was, to become a part of IMC Nation. And it all comes down to the creations. If you're like, we're creating our life every day, every moment, and now I recognize the power in that because I see your progression. I've seen IMC Nation evolve to the degree that it's like the invisible power. It's like I know for a fact that when brothers get together, that there's just a dynamic that happens, that it's almost like you could conquer the world, but in that sense that it's like the shining light. It's a power of light, or the power of God, in that way, in that we're all, when you're tapped in, and somebody that's devoted to their mission, like you yourself, it's you rise in something internally, the power that comes out of that, and you could only keep it alive if you're constantly creating it. So that I recognize that, and it's I'm grateful, man, very
And you
grateful.
bring it out, and you bring it out of your fellow IMC Nation brothers by doing what you just did. Dude, you like a lot of things that you share reminds me a lot like me. How old are you? If you don't mind sharing?
I'm 25.
You're 25. Oh
Yeah,
man. Dude, I'm gonna be
I'm an old man.
40. I'm gonna be 40 in
Oh man.
August. And
Oh wow.
there's an age. I know that I don't look or act like it, but now imagine what you went through and where you're gonna be. I mean, not even at 40, shit, just 5 years from now. And how
Mhm.
great, like you're already great now with what you know, like how great you're going, even greater you're gonna be. And it's not about the money,
But
but earning a full-time income, serving your passion while making the world a better place. That just does something. And doing for others that are going through something similar and need to hear your story and what you went through, and like
mhm.
just need like a guide or like a brother or just someone like, hey, learn from my mistake, do this. Um, God, what a powerful story, man. I look forward to seeing what you have to bring
Yeah, I
in the
appreciate
future,
that,
like
brother.
having your own show, eventually attending some beast camps in person, having your own base. I remember you mentioned something about possibly wanting to get really good at yoga and teaching that. Is
Mhm.
that true, or am I
Yeah,
thinking
it's
something else?
actually
Go
something
ahead.
I was doing right beforehand, right before I signed back up Midday Gospel. I didn't have the process. I mean, I have it, but I didn't have it like in the sense that I wanted to do it, or I was more into, just the inner, the cultivating of the inner calm, and because of all the chaos I'd put myself through. So I recognized that it wasn't going to get any better if I dwelled on just the isolation and all that aspect of my life. So I kind of tapped in, to see, what was going on. So shout out Yogi Chris doing the podcast as much as he has been, because, or Captain Chris, uh, because, he was like the closest is to the teachings, as far as I see, and of AZD and the philosophy of IMC. So Chris, I've always seen him as like a big brother, as like an uncle, you know, like somebody that just when I spoke with him, it was that familiar feeling, you know, familial. And so I just went back on his podcast early on this year, and he reached out to me. Telegram. I didn't even have the Telegram app, and this was like earlier this year, and I wasn't being a good person, like I said. So it wasn't like a negative thing that he reached out for. I was not being truthful, and so it kind of showed up in YouTube video. That's another story, but yeah, man, like it kind of shook me to my core. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what am I doing here? Like, he it's almost like I wanted to be exposed in the sense that, you know, like, dude, you were IMC Nation, now you're out, and now you have the like this. What do you have against it in this? This is how it felt internally. Like I had something against a resentment or something, but that was my resistance. Now that I look back, it's my resistance to the bettering of myself, or evolving my character. And what scared me so much, that was just that I wouldn't ever have like a voice, and to you know, to share with others, because I know the cultivating calm aspects of yoga is great and all, but it serves no one if you're going to simply like be alone and meditate all day. So that's exactly where, you know, I saw myself heading. So I was just like, you know what, I'll just have to admit to my mistakes. And so I reached back to Yogi Chris, and so around that time, yeah, I was doing yoga, and I just recalled like that that ideal of just being able to travel and teach something, just have something to offer, something to share. And I feel that, you know, this is the first step to that, because, you know, I've always been the kind of person like, no speaking unless you're spoken to, or what you know, because growing up it wasn't very acceptable as a child to speak. Yeah. And so now, you know, I've kind of become familiar with my voice and learning where that comes from. And it's a very you know, deep place that I've always lived inside there. I've always had this internal sense of uh, being formless, timeless, that kind of a thing.
And having that inner dialogue with yourself, like what you just said. I with AZD IMC Nation, and IMC can stand for many things. My favorite is Integrated Mind Concepts or Council, International Mind Council, Integrated. I'm messing up here
Mastermind.
because Mastermind Collective.
Mm.
It's I tell people that ask about it, you know, and I'm learning how to communicate. It's like martial arts for the mind. But what you just said is like yoga for the mind, getting yourself in the right mindset so you can teach others. But one thing I wanted to ask you before, because I went through some pretty dark times, you know, I admitted my heavy drinking last lecture, and even on the light masculinity as a guest with Kenny Simmons representing 4 Pillars of Power on how I learned how to transmute negative energy into positive. But before, I would sit with the negative energy by drinking alcohol. And sometimes, you know, I overcome addiction recovery. And now it's like a lot of it is thought and thinking about like very bad decisions I made in my past. And then not dwelling on them, but just thinking like, oh, and then that would like prevent me from doing some work. You know, I'm a staff member for IMC Nation, working with Captain Chris for a few years now. And it would show my work sometimes because I beat myself up, I hold myself back. But are there like moments where you think about like the dark times that you went in, and like how you overcame them, or how you would like um tell someone how to forgive themselves, and kind of like transmute that negative energy into something positive, like, oh yeah, watch this. If I'm explaining myself right. Does that make sense?
Um, what was the question exactly? Like
How
how did
how
I?
would you, like me, how would you tell me, someone that came to you and said, Saul, we both been through some dark times. Like a lot of that you share sounds similar for what I went through. How can I forgive myself and just get over what I went through, and focus on what I really want to do and serve my passion?
That's a deep question. Uh, the inner, the intuition that I believe that is our gift from God. Um, when things silent, when you're silent with yourself, and you don't you don't observe your thoughts as much. Like, yeah, it's almost impossible for me to stop thinking, especially when I want to be silent, or but the silence that I'm referring to is that intuition. You know what's right for you. Everyone has this, and um, from my experience, was just knowing the right thing to do was just listen. And it doesn't, it comes in a voice, but that, the thoughts, the voice, but underneath the voice, or that thinking mind, um it's kind of like, if there were a higher being, observing you, or that was walking with you. The way what comes to my mind is uh, just like a it's like a this is where I get lost with the words, because that all I had, to do was just tune into that, and just trust it. Stop the resistance, just drop the resistance to what you see, what you and just go with it, because that's what brought me back. And yeah, I get doubtful sometimes. I wake up early, and I'll see, like, man, like, it's another day for me to exert the energy and the will necessary, just to go, to just get up and go, and I know what I need to do. So yeah, man, I just trust in the next step. The first step was taken, and each step is going to reveal to me the next phase of that, of this journey, or this life story that I'm writing. And we're all writing it, because to when you show up, when our guests show up, and you guys have been, very, very consistent. So that motivates me even more. Everyone, just, when I watch the older episodes, I've seen everybody speak, and so, especially Phoenix. Phoenix is like, he's badass, dude. Like, I look up to badass, you know, hard motherfuckers, because it's like, you know, uh, I was raised by my mother, so it's like, whose examples did I have, and the ones that I did have, they were not very solid individuals. So it's like, yeah, just being reintroducing myself to what I believe, is right. What's right is right, So that's all I could say about that.
Damn, brother, that was great. Like in the beginning, what I heard, and the thing about communication I learned is like, it doesn't really matter how you say it. I'm sorry, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So
Mm.
I was feeling what you were saying, and what I got out of it was quietness, stillness, because my mind would be racing all over the place. Like right now, I'm walking. It took me forever to learn how to sit still and meditate. And then when I get on camera, just sit here and speak. And I'm moving around, and I was actually picking up garbage while you're talking. I got this whole bag. This is all garbage right now that I picked up going on one of my favorite walks in town here, tuning in nature. And to be able to ease my mind and meditate, because meditating is crucial. It's one part of the AZD process. One reason why I fell off track, because I wasn't being true to my meditation. Now that I'm getting better at it, I'm able to transmute that negative thought that turned into a feeling into positive energy. And when I ease my mind, when I can be quiet and still, I can focus on that thought and feeling and cry and shake and get it out of it when I'm alone, and then go about with my day. Or the intuition or visualize, think like, okay, now watch this. I'm gonna take this energy and put it into something good. That's what I got out of that. So that was very helpful. Does anyone have any questions or comments? We got some very powerful men on here that they like to share. Oh, I see Phoenix has his hand raised. Go ahead, Phoenix. Oh, I got something here for you, Phoenix. Go ahead, brother.
Sure.
Oh, brother. Saul.
Yes, sir.
Have you read the story in the Bible about Saul?
Saul, yes. Well, I haven't recently, but I was aware of it. Yeah, his name was changed, right, to
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah. Recap on that story. Plus, that's all. Just recap on that story at some plus.
That's something definitely. We could talk about possibly around two, or something we could make happen.
For sure.
I haven't read the Bible in so long. Is Saul's a person, or does he have an entire chapter on him?
Saul persecuted the Christians in the Bible quite passionately, I guess. And then he had an encounter. It's more about the encounter he had that when I heard Saul talking about his inner thoughts, that reminded me about that actual story. So, yeah. Wow. Something Saul will realize within himself when he goes through that. It's a parable. So, yeah.
That's powerful. Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, definitely I'll go back to that book. Yeah. For sure. Thank you for sharing.
And back to the title, Beyond Revelations. A lot of things that's been happening the last few years. Just reading like the introduction of Revelation, and this guy that I follow, he goes by Michael. He kind of calls himself Saint Michael, or Archangel Michael on our everyday lives. Points out things that are happening that's similar to the book of Revelations, and it's crazy to think like I kind of feel like we're going through it right now. Yeah, anyone else have any questions, comments? If not, we'll be wrapping things up here pretty soon. And
what's up, everybody?
Seth Khan.
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, man. I like what you were saying earlier about clarity, you know. Like for the past, say, about 2 weeks or so, like I've been just running off like maybe 4 to 6 hours of sleep. And like I'm up now, actually, now that I speak about it. Woke up at like 12 o'clock, and I really just been like living in the moment and really just, man, I've been just so mentally clear, like where it almost feel like surreal, bro. It's like I'm in a trance all day. You know, it's really powerful because it's like I'm realizing how much choice I have. You know, like really, that's all I feel is the power of choice. Like, I've been just really using my senses more than anything, like just being completely emotionless, just really only been using my senses, and just been just so much grounding myself. It's like I don't give a fuck about like anything that I can really think that could affect me, because it's all in my mind. It's all in my mind, like
Hmm.
everything. Just thoughts, man. Like it's everybody else's thoughts, my thoughts, your thoughts. Just a world full of thoughts, and it's like I can control and be aware of what I'm doing, and everything else doesn't affect me. It's really here for my benefit. Everything around us
Yeah.
is here for us. Everything around us is man-made. Everything that we need is accessible here. There's nothing to fucking worry about.
I feel that. Yeah. Like at a deep level, because just being out in nature, and like when you tap into that consciousness, or just the stillness of your consciousness, because that's all there is. I mean, every life form is consciousness. And the clarity you're speaking about brought me a little more clarity, because I have a I have an affinity for that knowingness, or for people that are tapped into that. So yeah, just recognizing it's all around us. And when we look out, we're looking out at our conscious is perceiving itself in the way, and another thing that really drew me back to this kind of, the revelations and all that, was well, I don't know how many, I know IMC Nation, so a lot of guys do TM, and I've just recently started looking into that. And I don't know if you guys practice TM, but
Yeah,
like
definitely.
that's, oh yeah, you've done the class, or the meditations.
Not the TMs that a
Oh,
lot of the
okay.
guys do in Cali.
Hmm.
Not those TMs. I haven't got to those kind of TMs. Those are really intense TMs. Like you going like in the mountains and stuff, and it's really dope and serene. It's really dope,
Mm.
like seriously. But um, but to substitute that, like I really have been getting into breathing techniques a lot. Um,
Oh, that's
it's
nice.
sometimes like yeah, it's really dope, man, because it gives me more. I don't even believe it's air anymore. I believe it's just pure energy. You know, like it's times where like I may be tired, and it's like I do my breathing techniques, and it's like I'm not even fucking tired no more.
Mm.
I've been up for 18
That's
hours
interesting.
today. Like, I've been up since 12 a.m. I've been up for over 18 hours now. It's about to be 19 hours. I don't feel tired at all, bro. I got plenty of energy. You can hear it in my voice. I have plenty of energy, and I've been just so
Oh, yeah.
focused, bro. Like, been taking advantage of my, my time, and just
Hmm.
really on like honing my mind, like honing it seriously, because it's my greatest tool besides communication, of course, but it's like it's really my greatest tool.
Yeah, 100%, for sure. Uh, yeah, I need to tap into some of that myself, like just the breathing, because sometimes I'll find myself holding my breath a lot. When situations I'm unsure of, and it adds an extra pressure that doesn't need to be there. And so, like,
Yeah,
especially in the mornings, because if you wake up early and you got a whole bunch, a list to do, it's like you got to center yourself first. I mean, at least that's what helps me. you know.
yeah. Like
So
I like,
breathing for sure.
yeah. I think like what helped me a lot with that was I'm really big in like Miyamoto Musashi. I don't know if you ever like heard of
Mm.
him. He's like a samurai, like never lost a duel.
Swordsman.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's a
like
really
that
dope
story.
movie. Yeah, I don't know if you ever seen like
Oh yeah.
the manga Vagabond, but it's about him. You know,
No, I haven't.
yeah.
What's
Well,
that
no, a
called?
lot with that, with like just being really thoughtless is like the art of letting go. You know,
Mm,
that really you can just do what you need to do because it is for your benefit, whatever you're doing. And if you take appreciation for it and just don't think about it and just do it, it's really for your benefit. Like it's really for you at the end of the day.
that's exactly what I more and more has been revealed to me. It's like the resistance and the hesitations that I've had before, that when I realized that that's what was keeping me back, uh, just doing what I need to do, that it solves itself, you know? Like either you make it or you don't, or you go again and you keep going because but like not to go too off track, but like I mentioned, I just need to stable myself in life, or find this post for myself that where I could build on that stability. So I've just applied so much, like in the past 14 days or a couple weeks, just 100 jobs, and I've applied like 100, like every day. That's like I'll spend a few hours just doing that, or going out and seeing who needs help around, whether it be yard work or anything. And it's all because, I have that new mindset where it's on purpose, and taking that step, regardless if I feel like it or not, or if it's just got to get done. And I have many examples of that now, that I'm an IMC Nation, because everyone around me, they're just good doing with what they do without a purpose. And it's like, are you guys even aware? It's like, wait, it's like The Walking Dead out here. And that to me is not the life I want. So yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing, Seth.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh yeah, we're approaching the end of the hour, but no one's after us. I think Advanced Beast Camp normally doesn't start until 7 PST. What's that? You throwing game signs up? Oh,
No, I
7.
was, I,
Okay.
I was saying seven, seven,
Seven.
seven.
I'm like, man, I don't know what. I'm not from San Francisco. I don't know what that means, but no, so 7 PST. All right, cool. Well, we'll close
Next
it out
skill,
here
Saul,
pretty.
before I'm going to sign out anyway.
What's
But
that?
Saul, while you're looking for a job, upskill yourself at the same time.
Mhm.
Because, like, yeah, you could be looking, but while you're upskilling yourself, you have more to present and give. But like, also upskill yourself in terms of growing food and stuff like that too. Trust me, it's gonna be neat.
Would be like an example of that? Because the word upscale, like what do you mean exactly?
Okay. Find your best traits that you have now and build on them while looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good
definitely.
advice, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
And when oh, go ahead, Seth.
And like another thing too, man, like you are where you need to be right now. You're not where
Exactly.
you are. Like where you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. And you need to appreciate what you have because you cannot be there at all.
Yeah. Amor fati. More fati.
Amor Fati. And when you go in for a
Mhm.
job interview, this is something I realized. I remember AZD saying, "You are your first customer in the morning." Several years ago, when I I was in the military, believe it or not, Air Force National Guard, I was working full time on my base, and a lot of them compare it to adult daycare. It's for some people who can't really get a normal job anywhere. They need someone like telling them what to do. Well, a lot of the people in my squadron were miserable, and it was making me miserable. So much to the point where I'd wake up like just in time to get up, throw my uniform on, and make it to work. Well, that's when I started listening to motivational quotes because I needed something to get me going. I know about the AZD process to get up and actually like an hour early, meditate, journal, read or listen to Stoic quotes, beast, get yourself in the right mindset. So when you go in for an interview and they're like, why should we hire you? Say, well, because I'm my first customer in the morning and I fill my cup so I can fill up everyone else's throughout the day. That's just something that really hit me like, and it was a struggle. I was having a hard time getting up, making my wake up time, my hitting snooze, and like Seth mentioned, running off like 4 hours of sleep and still feeling energized and throughout the day, I'm feeling tired, feeling like I need a nap. And I just bust out like some body weight squats, push ups, or do some like deep Wim Hof breathing. And sometimes if I have enough time, I'll meditate. I'll close my eyes because I have a driving job, and I'll close my eyes and just like 10 minutes, I'm wide awake. So as you kind of push through that pain and what's hard, you kind of like energize yourself, and things get easier. And when you have the whole right mindset, like why you're doing it, you know what your why is, man, it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, seriously, bro. Like, use your shadow, bro. If you like Carl Jung, like, really use it. Like,
Yeah, I could see that.
learn with, like, seriously, bro. I've been heavy on honing my shadow, bro.
Right on. Oh yeah. That's with me also every day. Like I want to walk in the light, and the shadow sometimes has that more negative pull on my whatever it is in the consciousness or just my willpower. So that's something I'll take in consideration for sure. Man, that's powerful. Carl Jung, huh?
Yeah,
Was he
really dope.
like yeah, he's an author, right?
Yeah, author, philosopher.
Author, philosopher. Yes, sir. All right. Good
Anyone
sharing.
else? Thank you. I'm actually going to put that in the YouTube chat too. Making sure I spelled it right. So,
Can I field that question?
What's that?
The question is just put out, what do the beads on the rosary mean?
My beads?
Yeah, was that question personal to him, or the meaning of the beads in general?
In general. In
In
general.
general? All right, well, the beads, from my understanding of the beads, there's 108 beads. So it's a sacred number. And then the beads are also made from tulsi wood or holy basil. So it's significant of that. But the beads also, they're a meditation device. I'm not sure if Saul knows this, but how you would use the beads in meditation is the index finger is represents the ego, so that points out, and then this finger here, which we love to use, has a nerve running from it all the way to the brain, and then you hold your beads, one bead on that position there, and you have a mantra. The safest mantra to use in this age would be the Hare Krishna mantra, which is part of transcendental meditation. And you'd say your mantra on that bead, and then you use the beads as a counter for each meditation while stimulating that nerve to stimulate your brain. So that's just a quick synopsis. Something to look into a quite deeper.
Definitely. Us. Thank you.
All right.
These. Oh.
Sorry. What were
you
you going to say about your beads?
Oh no, I was just showing that these were not the traditional beads. They were just from the like a Catholic kind of a cross. You know, they sell them everywhere here, but I feel like, you know, more protected in that sense when I wear it from those negative influences. But yeah, for
It's a
sure
good
that.
reminder.
Oh yeah.
And that you have to remind that. Thanks for reminding me. I'm gonna get the necklace with a cross on. That's one reason why I wear this shirt with the coat of arms and the beads that I
Mm.
earned from AZD, because going through dark times, wanting to fall back off track, and before every live now, I pretty much do my own ritual where I remind myself why I'm here, what I've been through to get here, and why I keep showing up. And picturing like you guys, like the next time you want to fall off track, or you feel something negative, or you just want to do something that you're later going to regret, picture one of the IMC Nation brothers here doing it. Would you want them to do it?
Hell no.
There you go. Exactly. So last week, Mr. Simmons, looking jacked, asked me to close out in a prayer. This time, Saul, if it's okay with you, if you're open to it, close us out with a prayer, or it could be whatever is on your mind. Just let it out,
Oh
brother.
man. I actually did have one, but it's in my notes and I'm on my phone. I'm not sure if, you know, the camera might go out if I could just read it.
Yeah,
It's a short prayer.
that's fine.
Oh, for sure. All right. Um, ready here. All right. So every day I give thanks and praise as my warm up. So thank you, God. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, guardian angel. Thank you, Holy Ghost. Thank you, Great Spirit. Thank you, Father Lord. And thank you, Creator Almighty. Thank you, Master of the Universe. That's my prayer.
Yeah, short, powerful, to the point.
Thank you.
Most brothers.
All right, Saul. So if someone feels connected with you and want to follow you, would Instagram be a good platform
Sure. Yeah.
if they want to reach out to you? All
It's
right.
my
What I'm
name
going
on
to do
here.
in the description,
Mhm.
I'm actually going to put it in the show description here on YouTube when we're done. So,
Okay,
because I believe
definitely.
everyone here is IMC Nation. But if you're not, feel free to put it in the chat real quick. And
For sure.
yeah, and that's how you show up. So remember, show up for yourself, show up for others, keep showing up.
Keep showing up. That's right.